My husband wants to go on vacation with my brother-in-law and do unspeakable things.
I mean, I'd tell you about it, but...
Hi there. I really wish I didn't have to make this post. Here it goes. So me and my husband have been happily married for about 16 years, give or take. We both have stable careers, good family life, and are fairly fortunate despite the cost of living racking up in the UK right now. The beans and eggs are getting up. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Canning 1900. And if you want to spin your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So we have 2 boys, 15 and 10 Mel. And up until this Saturday, I thought we had it pretty good. We argue sometimes, of course, but it's never gotten too bad, and we have pretty decent, spicy sleep life with some explanation. But I won't get into that. Long and short is, on Sunday, just after I dropped off our boys at their friends, my husband asked me if we could have the house alone, and more importantly, do I have a minute? I said yes, and he sat me down, then got out this printed poster for some sort of... How did that not get blocked? What? We have gone this far and this word has not gone blocked? I'm going to say spicy party. Then got out this printed poster for some sort of spicy party and started explaining to me the concept of attracted to the same gendercation. It's where straight men go to somewhere with sun, sand, and booze and become for the duration of the trip. But that's fine because it doesn't actually count, because what happens on the vacation stays at the vacation. If you sign up for this, you're no longer a straight man.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Be who you are. It's the second day of Pride.
I was completely silent and mortified. Even more so when he said he was looking into a trip to Ibiza next year with his brother-in-law, his sister's husband, to experience it for himself. He's 35 now. When he finally let me speak, I just said I need him to be clear with me. Is he attracted to the same gender? Because if yes, that's okay, but we need to figure out what happens going forward. I didn't let myself get angry or upset. I was just stunned. He swore up and down he is not attracted to the same gender, and he's 100% attracted to women. And of course, he still loves me and our boys. So I said, well, do you think you're bi, maybe? He got very defensive, saying how I needed to drop the accusations and that this is the beauty of the...
This has to be written to be funny, right? Because that's hilarious.
It allows straight men to experience the without actually being attracted to the same gender, and how it's like going to an aquarium. And again, he was adamant he doesn't find men's bodies or genitalia exciting at all, but he needs to experience this apparently.
Because he's excited.
I said, well, I'm not really comfortable because if he was bi, this would be explicitly cheating on me. And he got angry and reiterated he's not, because that's the beauty of the gaycation, etc. I just had enough and left the room. I ignored him for the rest of the day, but we spoke again at tea, where I again asked him why he wants to do this so bad if he's not attracted to the same gender. He said how he's interested in how, men's life differ from straight men's.
He's like, no, I'm just going undercover.
Trying to unravel the secrets.
And that unfortunately, once the vacation begins, it's simply impossible for a man to resist, and he must surrender himself, mind, body, and soul, or be destroyed. Be destroyed? Become ashes. I'm either going to submit or become ashes.
Are there trips marketed as this? Because if there are, we all need to go on one. Just to see it. I want to see what happens if you get destroyed. Do they just have a beam that just de-atomizes you?
I think we have another straight man who wants to go on the vacation, everyone.
I do, but I don't want to touch any men.
That's what he's saying. I can't really put into words how surreal it is, because he was speaking on the matter factly, and he again insists this is a thing that straight men do all the time, and now he's actually doing it a bit late. Yeah, they usually get started in their 30s. I'm 40. I'm running out of time. I just said to him, if he has any love for me, then he can't go ahead with this. And if he does, the marriage will be decimated. We didn't speak anymore after that. Since then, he's mentioned no more of it. But somehow, this is what scares me a lot too. That decision genuinely seems to be tearing him up. He didn't go into work on Monday and only went in for half a day yesterday because he told them he just felt too ill and he looks distraught every time I see him. Dude, what?
Distraught because every time he sees you, he's like, she's not a man. And it's like, that's his own thing to deal with.
He's trying to make it seem like it's not about him getting around. And two, I've never seen anyone that missed a vacation miss 2 days of work because of how distraught they were. If this was just a vacation.
Well, yeah, it's not a vacation. It's a vacation. That's the beauty of it.
Like, he was about to see, like, a bunch of, like, dudes skinny dipping, and now he's, like, missing out on it.
He'll never know what he was going to see now because he's back to being, lock me up, officer. I'm the straight man.
I really don't think he's wholly, though I can be absolutely believe he's bi. But I'd rather we talk about that in a healthy way rather than this incredibly weird denialism around going on a spicy holiday to Ibiza. Has anyone known straight guys to do this and come back and just go back into being straight? Like, surely that can't be a thing that happens. I'm so out of depth here, and I just don't know how to even initiate the conversation. For the record, I also haven't mentioned it to his sister yet. I don't know how I'd even break it to her. Thanks for any help. I just don't know what to think. So being able to get this out there has helped even a little bit. We got an edit and we got a PS. So, dude, I don't even know what to say. This guy's trying to cheat on you.
On a real level, like if you want to get through this with your husband, it needs to not be about the vacation anymore. It needs to be about, hey, I'm telling you that I wouldn't find it okay for you to just go have a little escapade with men and then just come back and act like everything's cool. I understand the beauty of the vacation, but I don't want that for me since I'm your wife. So it needs to be like a, hey, like, I want you to feel like you're okay, right? Because clearly he's not all the way straight.
Yeah, he's just repressing, like, all of his emotions.
And if he heard this right now, he'd just be screaming, it's the beauty of the vacation. What are you not understanding? Just want to spend a vacation with men.
I think you have to say, you can be my husband if you're bi, but you can't be my husband if you cheat on me.
If you go do this and come back.
Edit. Wow, this blew up. This has been incredibly sobering, and I think I've now confirmed what I already knew to be the case. The marriage has passed away. One way or another. In a way, I was in denial myself about that. I've contacted my sister-in-law, and she's initially screamed at me, calling me a liar, and even insinuated I was trying to steal her husband. She rang me back short after, apologized, and admitted she was in deep, deep shock. I've asked my parents to look after the boys, and we are going to meet tomorrow to discuss this deeper. It just realized to me that imagine this is happening in your marriage. You contact your sibling, and this is happening in their marriage too.
It's like, we're the only ones we got right now, dude.
Convenient or sad?
I think it's definitely convenient. I think you definitely want a close relative to lean on in that moment without being like, this is going to change how they think about me forever. But it's like, no, your husband's doing it too? Oh my God.
I've also texted my husband and told him we need to make alternative accommodation arrangements. But he will not be sleeping here tonight, and I will have a bag, and he will be waiting for him. Not sure if the mods want to lock the post, blah, blah, blah. Thank you all for those words, especially Champion Flight, who already gave me the good dose of reality I needed. P.S. I see a lot of people asking about the aquarium and at risk of doxing myself. There's a pretty famous aquarium here in the UK called The Deep. At the very end, you walk through a tunnel that generally goes underneath the main fish tank, and it's quite immersive, I suppose. My husband explained the aquarium thing, and it's a bit like that. You go there, and you observe the fishes, and you even get a bit close up, but you never actually enter the waters, get emotionally invested, or become a fish. So it doesn't really count. I don't think there's going to be glass, protecting you from all the dudes out there.
I think I'm starting to understand what they're trying to say. I'm not sold on it. What this guy's saying is he's like, I'm just going to go be and then not care that I was and not ever be again. That's what he's saying.
He can't come back to a marriage after that.
Of course not. So it's just insanity.
This is a very bizarre analogy, and I pointed out that it makes no sense, but he just got more in a huff about it, about how I just don't get it. And frankly, I still don't. And I want to get to the update. Your husband isn't proposing again. And he's proposing cheating on you with men while you're using magical thinking to pretend it doesn't count. The fact that he's planning this with his sister's husband even makes it more disturbing. His bizarre explanation about surrendering mind, body, and soul isn't straight man curiosity. It's someone desperately trying to justify exploring his spicy related-ality while keeping his hetero-spicy marriage together. His depression about not being able to go isn't about missing a vacation. It's about being forced to confront his without his convenient. What happens in Ibiza stays in Ibiza. Excuse. His meltdown, however, is not going to show how desperately he wants to avoid facing his reality. Opie says, I've read over this multiple times, and I guess the worst part is how I know you're completely right. OP should consider about the divorce. OP says, I want to avoid the divorce option, but I guess it's the only option, isn't it? Commenter 2 says, so this is just a thought, but I'm wondering if he's really planning on doing the vacation or if it was just a cover to try to get you to agree to it. What if the real plan was to get with women while he's down there?
That would be a crazy plan. He's stupid if that was his plan.
Or is he so genius that we just can't comprehend the true brilliance we're seeing right now? He's like, babe, I just want to go be with men. She'll never expect they're actually women.
OP says that I hadn't really thought of, to be honest, and now the thought terrifies me. From the way he's talking about men, the fact that he had a poster for a spicy party, I mean, it's one heck of a buff, surely. Commenter 3, tell him you're gonna have a straightcation while he's gone, and if you're going to surrender mind, body, and soul to other men. Honest to God, if my husband proposes to me, I'd use his time away to pack up, move out, and have divorce papers waiting for him. And we got an update.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's interesting that this could be a completely different conversation if their partner was like actually approaching it from an honest perspective, which is like a really hard, vulnerable thing to do, to like go to your partner and be like, hey, so I think I'm like maybe into men, but I also am your husband and we have kids and I love you and I just don't know what's going on. Then that's a completely different thing. Being like, I'm going to go on a vacation and you have to be okay with it. Worst possible way you could go about that.
Him saying he's late to it is him saying, I've been in the closet for a while now.
I should have been going to this for years.
Anyways, update. So when I last posted, I contacted my husband to tell him he wouldn't be staying at home tonight and a bag will be waiting for him. As you can imagine, we argued quite badly. I won't go into the specific details, but now I'm 100% on board with the fact, at minimum, he's bi. Might even be together. We've had arguments in the past, but I've genuinely never seen him have such a childish tantrum before, screaming about how I just don't understand the occasion. Absolutely, despite that phrase now, and insinuating I'm actually a closet officer because I refuse to allow him to participate in his cultural exchange with the community.
Cultural exchange, more like a fluid exchange, dude. What are you talking about?
A lot of you said to ask me if I'd be accepted if the roles were in reverse. And I did say it would be acceptable if I went and slept with other guys during that week. Like clockwork. He was very angry and offended, saying it's completely different because occasion means nothing. What happens on the occasion stays on the occasion, etc. And so it doesn't actually really count. When you go to Vegas and lose all your money, that doesn't stay in Vegas. That debt follows you out of Vegas.
Oh, the money that you lost stays in Vegas. The debt doesn't. The debt follows you around.
Whereas I just be straight up cheating. Well, I turned it around on him. No, but if you see what happens in Manchester, stays in Manchester, doesn't actually mean anything. Doesn't it count? It's like bird watching. And I think it got through to him. He went all quiet and then started crying, admitting he thought of me sleeping with another man is destroying his heart, but relationships need sacrifices. So he had agreed, volunteers, that when he goes on the vacation, I'll get 1 week in Manchester to do whatever I want. He doesn't want me to, but that's what's fair in a twisted way, he supposed. I told him to get out of my house. Thankfully, he left without a fight. I know it's incredibly petty, but I also drained the joint bank account and legal in the UK, so he couldn't try to use it against me. In about an hour, I got a call from his mom, my mother-in-law, who also screamed and screamed about me being a cheating or how I was horrible, what about the kids, etc. When I finally got my composure back, I just said, ask your son about the vacation. Obvious at first she got angry, but I said, no, just ask him about the vacation. He'll explain. She called me a effing joke and hung up. And guess what? Later on, getting into the evening, I got another phone call from her. in floods of tears. She was very apologetic, and I told her she doesn't need to be the one to apologize. She was also upset she put father-in-law on the phone, who, while he sounded calm, I just sort of could tell he was on a warpath. Again, very apologetic, and he overheard that phrase, asked my husband, and husband initially said, no, it's nothing, before explaining how it's a modern thing men do, etc., and gave them the same spiel about what happens on the vacation. Men cannot resist how a man must surrender to the vacation, etc. Father-in-law just said they told him to leave or they'd call the police. He didn't care where he goes, but he wasn't staying there. Husband tried to call me while I was on the phone, but I just ignored it. And father-in-law just said he was sorry for me and that they have my corner in this. So that's one thing. Oh, wait. Now we're getting to the brother-in-law here.
Oh, no. God, I forgot.
I just want to know how he came across this and where this all began.
I mean, I'm sure this all began a long time ago.
Like at a water cooler at work? Like they were at office and Bill came by and was like, hey, you ever heard of it?
I talked to Sharon about it. She let me go. I'll tell you, it was a crazy experience. I'm the straightest man on earth, though. It's still kind of tragic because this is clearly like a bi man who's not like, he doesn't feel like he can do that.
And a marriage is dissolving before our eyes.
And this is why it's important if you feel like you have like a truth to not like ignore it or bury it or lie about it, because if you do, you'll end up in a point where you're 42 and now you're telling your wife you have to vacation.
Told them to be there for their daughter because it sounds like brother-in-law is involved. Husband didn't tell them that. And father-in-law just said he had to go because he was so angry. Got a text from my husband after the phone call, which was all weirdly rambly, saying how I'd mistraded the to destroy his marriage and destroy his life. And again, insinuated I and his parents were closet officers for doing such a thing.
He's like, I'm not, but you guys are being, not to me, because I'm not.
I just want to go on vacation.
Told him we'd talk when he grows up and blocked his number. I took a day off work to have to myself. The locks had been changed this morning, and that's 500 pounds gone. Who did you call? How many locks do you have in your house? But whatever, at least I know he won't be coming back. I'm going to look into how I can proceed with a divorce, and then we'll move from there. Oh, of course, there is the brother-in-law. So I haven't yet met with sister-in-law. She was in such a state and has taken this far worse than I have for reasons that will be clear soon. We're going to try maybe tomorrow, but we did talk over the phone, and I eavesdropped on the conversation with her husband, where she put her on the phone on speaker and I went on mute. Her husband got home early. She made him come home and told him there was an emergency. I just said to him, can you please explain what a vacation is? She told me afterwards she was praying he'd look confused or just be like, what? Or anything. But instead, he just sat her down and explained that a gay is a new thing where straight men go spots and participate in spicy sleep acts, but it doesn't count because there's no investment and because what happens on the stays on the vacation. This is like whatever, going like door to door and being like the same spiel, like a salesman. Can I talk to you today about your Lord and Savior on the vacation? The new thing straight men go on.
You're not the first guy to come around this place. I'm in. That's the sales principle. You wear them down. It feels like these two guys just want to go be each other. And they're trying to come up with some other thing where it's like, all right, well, maybe if we're strangers, then our families will be okay with it, which is the most insane thing ever. But you know what? Maybe they're just in love, because when you're in love, you think and do really dumb stuff sometimes.
Conspiracy theory, this whole story is just an ad for vacation. He said, like writing down angry thoughts and then putting them in a drawer. You never have to see them again. The whole time sister-in-law is in tears, as he just calmly bats off same points my husband did about how it doesn't count. And he did the whole, it's impossible to resist, you must surrender or be destroyed crap. I seriously think they must be speaking to a dominatrix or something. There are even male doms, because surely neither of them are into that to act and make that up on their own. I don't really want to go into what was discussed for her sake, but it did become very apparent to me that brother-in-law is into hypocrite and at times conflated with the concept of a. There was this utterly surreal moment where sister-in-law was just trying to wrap her head around this while also in floods of tears, and he explains so genuinely, so matter-of-factly, for that. Most men is either a one-time annual thing, but some men go to the vacation for years and simply never return because they use the hypnosis and mind control to be totally feminized in a state of permanent pseudo.
That might take the cake for the most insane thing I've ever heard.
This guy was like watching way more YouTube videos than OP husband was.
How is he still calling it pseudo if you get lost there?
He's like, yeah, some people never leave because they're brainwashed. They're internalizing this.
Be instead of do all this and deny that it makes you. I think that's even.
Anyways, she said disbelief. Surely, if you're taking it up the butt willingly because you want to, that makes you attracted to the same gender. And he said no, because that's the beauty of the. You can do all this stuff, but you don't interact with the wider experience.
So I just want to let you know that I can be intimate with another woman, and then if I can't be like, I'm still just totally 100% only because I wasn't committed to that woman. You can do that when you're straight too.
She asked him if the sissy stuff is what he wanted, and he said, not on a long-term basis, and was adamant this is something all straight men do, but she wouldn't get it because she's a woman. Dude, now we're throwing in some
jabs. You wouldn't get it, woman. What is it, the all men? What is that? Where did they read this? They like sent each other like a meme on Instagram, and then it turned into this.
I cannot wait for some memes now. Then there were more insinuations of, well, that marriage is passed away too, I suppose. The whole ordeal ended when she said to him he has a choice to make. And he said no, he doesn't need to make this choice because the beauty of the vacation that allows him to keep his marriage because it doesn't count.
He's like, no, you don't understand. You're not allowed to divorce me because it doesn't count.
It's in the terms and agreements.
I have legal documentation.
After they gave me a little form. It's like getting your parking validated.
Exactly. She said that's not the choice. The choice is whether he's leaving the house that night or she is. Only good thing he did was leave. Me and sister-in-law spoke about it after, and I'm just still utterly stunned. I understand she's gone to her parents for support. What exactly did we do to have our lives destroyed in such an abrupt, bizarre, embarrassing way? Per some advice, I'm going to look at devices and bake statements to see if I can find definitive proof of cheating. After that, I suppose I have to figure out a way to tell the boys why their father won't be going home, because he's going to vacation for years now.
It's the beauty of the vacation.
Yeah, it's the beauty of OK Storytime. We got an edit. We got a little bit left here.
You got to give yourself up to it entirely or it will destroy you.
But yeah, any other thoughts?
Fellas, is it straight to be? Is this what that man's arguing? But be honest with your partners. Because like, I really do think there was a way he could have expressed, like, I feel uncertain about my sexuality all of a sudden. Like, not even all of a sudden. Like, I don't know how I could have told this to you. It's like an impossible thing to say. If he comes from it from like a real vulnerable place, like that's still an incredibly difficult conversation, but it's like you're at least coming from a real place. This is nonsense.
Edit. Spoke to other sister-in-law. My husband's family is older sister, him younger sister, original sister-in-law. Gave her a skimmed-down version. She asked her husband, and thankfully he was deeply confused, but mentioned about 2 years ago at a birthday party, he was approached by my husband and brother-in-law about signing up to some online boot camp around 50 Shades Club cross-dressing. He assumed they were taking the piss out of him and told him to F off and never really thought of it again. The fact that this has been going on for that long is making me want to throw up. As for the poster who said about divorce options, I'm actually going to look into adultery because, plain and simple, that is what it is. And that is the end of that story. Holy cow! They've been trying for years.
Human psychology is incredibly complex. So there's no way to get to the bottom of this without real conversation. But you can't have real conversation with him right now anyway because he's in Delulu land. He truly believes that that's the beauty of the gaycation is that you just get to do a like free trial on being gay.
Yeah.
What if you go there and you become attached?
Yeah, what if you want to like continue your trial?
Yeah.
But that's the end of that story.